I've never been part of a conspiracy, but I'm starting to think that this is what it must feel like to be on the outside of one.
Set after the events of 9/11, the Mauritanian man is taken from his home and locked in Guantanamo Bay without any charges against him. He is accused of being Osama bin Laden's head of recruitment by American authorities, but he denies all claims for many years. Eventually, a lawyer becomes aware of his imprisonment and makes it her duty to get the man released. The Mauritanian is an entertaining legal and political thriller that questions the rights and wrongs of torture, interrogation, imprisonment, and more, as well as whether the means justify the ends. The themes and messages of the film are strong and powerful, and the ultimate message is clear. This helps make the Mauritanian important as well as entertaining. Sadly, the story is not an entirely original one, with similarities to many post-9/11 political, spy, and legal thrillers. The film features familiar beats and characters, with few of the characters coming across as unique or original. There's a determined soldier, motivated by vengeance and justice, a lawyer committed to the law and what it stands for, and a Middle Eastern man accused of terrorism. The characters fail to stand out, but they are portrayed well by the cast. Jodie Foster brings elements of charm and charisma to what is an otherwise dry, familiar lawyer. She manages to make her character likeable and relatable, as well as engaging, even though the character is extremely focused with little in the way of a personal life or any real personal detail. Benedict Cumberbatch portrays the soldier/lawyer assigned to keep the Mauritanian behind bars. His character deals with issues surrounding ethics and morals, forcing Benedict to handle heavy themes and emotions. He does a great job of conveying such complexity, and he is a likeable character despite being the closest thing to a villain the film has. But the accent he uses is a little distracting and grating, and it takes some time getting used to it. Finally, the Mauritanian himself is brilliantly portrayed by Tahar Rahim. Through flashbacks we see the ordeal he went through, the excruciating physical and psychological torture, as well as his earlier family life and later interviews where he is paranoid and angry with it all. The character goes through a range of events, and Tahar does a great job at conveying the different emotions and physical conditions he would have been in. Speaking of the flashbacks, the film has two timelines running throughout its story. The primary one is that of the legal case to release the Mauritanian, primarily focusing on Jodie Foster's lawyer and interviews with the Mauritanian, as well as a few looks at what Benedict Cumberbatch is doing. The other storyline is that of the flashbacks. The flashbacks are filmed in a 4:3 aspect ratio with differing lighting and other cinematography changes. This helps set them apart from the main narrative, and it gives them a grittier, realer look, almost like a home video documentary. This in turn makes them much more engrossing and harrowing, especially when it concerns the torture scenes. The problem with this narrative structure is that one of them is more interesting than the other. The legal battle is the main crux and focus of the film, and therefore has the better characters and the biggest plot twists and thrills, while the flashbacks are primarily used to shock viewers and expand on the Mauritanian's character backstory. The flashbacks work well in this regard, but the two storylines don't always feel like they're part of the same movie. Sometimes the flashbacks feel intrusive or distracting to what's going on, and at other times they are all too familiar. If you've seen films such as Zero Dark 30 or TV shows like The Looming Tower, there's a lot in this film that just does not feel original or unique. The Mauritanian features good cinematography, albeit with limited visuals to see, as much of the film is shot inside small enclosed locations such as cells and offices. The previously mentioned aspect ratio changes in flashback sequences are the highlights in terms of production, showcasing just how much the filmmakers have thought about the medium and what changes of this nature can do to the mood and tone. The Mauritanian is enjoyable and informative, but it's also familiar in terms of story and characters. The two narratives running through the film don't always mesh well, with flashbacks sometimes feeling a bit intrusive and unnecessary, and it has a runtime that struggles with pacing too. The cast is great across the board, with every actor adding depth to otherwise simplistic and unoriginal characters. This is a film I would recommend if there's nothing else on, but be aware that the mood and tone is dry and at times harrowing due to its nature and content.